Hello, I'm PS3 and welcome back to the video. Today let's talk about roller coasters in Minecraft, and indeed minecarts in general, because roller coasters and the minecart system is something you generally do towards the later end of the game. Once you've got a bunch of iron, you've got a bunch of gold, and you just decide, I want to build something amazing to look at, then most people tend to go to roller coasters in some form or another. And today I think I'd go through 5 tips that you need to know about roller coasters to save yourself a bit of time, trial and error, and all that sort of stuff, because yeah, there's lots of easy mistakes to make, there's lots of cool things you can pick up, and I figured I'd share some of that in today's video. Hopefully you'll do enjoy it. If you do like it, then let me know, because it helps out the channel, and let's know you do enjoy these sorts of videos about a very specific Minecraft subject. But yeah, this one's on roller coasters. Hopefully you like it. Let's get straight into the video with the first tip here, which is actually to do with the fact that you really don't need powered rails for the most part. So yeah, if you're into traditional Minecraft logic, you'll know that you need a powered rail. It's something like every 14 blocks, I think, to go at full max speed. I think that's the PC system, and that's how it was on the console before TU12. But as of TU, again, it's like 14 or 12, something like that. They actually changed the minecart on the console to be a massively different feature, and it's basically an exclusive. So yeah, you need to know that this is entirely different to other platforms. If you have a way to build roller coasters on the PC, it's not going to work here. And if you built a roller coaster like 4 years ago, it's also not going to work here, because yeah, here's the speed you can go at on minecarts and console without needing any powered rails at all. This is just my will putting into it, and let me show you on screen the difference between doing this and doing it on the PC. It's literally like amusing to see the difference, because just going on flat rails like this is faster than going on powered rails on the PC. So yeah, there's a lot of speed you can get in a minecart for Minecraft console. Just keep that in mind, because if you don't, you'll build roller coasters that are either way too fast, or that you just don't get to see anything. Because if you have turns going too fast, then it's just kind of confusing. Like if you look at this, for instance, the turns are like right next to each other, and it's like, oh, right, left, and even that feels a bit too fast, and that's with a decent amount of space. If you go like too much faster than that, then suddenly things don't even make sense, and it doesn't really add up. So yeah, first tip is going to have to be, make sure you know that there's a lot of speed in Minecraft roller coasters, and therefore you don't really need powered rails except for 2 situations. One, if you want to leave the player to not touch up on the on their stick, just make it happen themselves. That's something you can do entirely to kind of keep the speed going like this, because again, this is where the fun in the roller coaster, like, ooh, you can really look around, goes, like again in some real life ones. But yeah, also you can use them for inclines, because you can't just magically go up inclines. So yeah, that's the first little tip I'll share with you here. It's the fact that, oh, well, okay, we end up at the end. No, you see what I mean by like it's so hard to control right there? Like I'm just trying to like not end up in the corner, but I'm just going flying. Controlling minecarts is hard. They have a lot of speed. Make sure you factor this into your designs, and that's tip number 1 right there, because otherwise you'll end up dying. So the second tip here is using those powered rails to do some pretty cool stuff, because you can perform jumps either downwards. So if you see right here, it's a powered rail followed by a gap followed by another thing. That's a really cool way to make a more exhilarating minecart roller coaster. But also you can do the opposite. And let me show you what I mean by that. Because let me show you going down here, and let me show you going up using this slime block contraption. So just like this, you can see, boom, and now suddenly I've done a cool jump. I jumped through the Guardian Eye, and now I'm below the Guardian. You can do a whole bunch of cool stuff like this, and I think, making people hurtle through the air in what seems like it's uncontrollable, but actually isn't, is one of the, again, most interesting things to look at, and it's one of the, best ways to kind of up the ante on your roller coaster. So, yeah, the second tip here is the fact that you can go up and you can go down, and both those things can really add some interesting stuff to it, because they don't necessarily have to be stairs, just, one way or the other. You can do giant gaps one way, or you can make it so people hurtle up the other way, and if you do that, then you get some more interesting stuff, especially if, like I said, you are flying into something, like into the Guardian, for instance, and yeah, that's something you need to keep in mind. Just one thing you do want to say, though, I do want to say here, is all of the, so if you want to see my system, this is how I made it go up. So as you can see, it's a detector rail, followed by, redstone repeater, followed by a piston. So it's really, really simple stuff, but there's a really key point that you might miss here, that's actually kind of important. It's the fact that, basically, the gap between here and you going there seems to be very variable, because the speed, can be very crazy. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you end up on a powered rail at the exact same moment, like actually the exact same place. And yeah, it takes a while to get it consistent, but I found this exact form here every single time I did it, unlike the one I showed off a few videos ago. But yeah, if you saw that, then you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't know, then they kind of get inconsistent. But from here, just test it over and over again, like 10 times. If it works 10 times, then it's going to work forever. So yeah, ups and downs can be made way more exciting, if you ask me, and that's kind of that. Next, let's talk about reversing, because if you want to make someone go back the way they came, you can kind of just do a minecart like bend like this, like, oh, that was kind of exciting, right? Like, oh, look, I'm going around the same corner. But if you don't want a double minecart track, which, personally isn't actually the most exciting way to do it, you can do cool stuff like this, where you loop around with a full-on, like, incline. So, now I'm going back the way I came, and it's a good way to kind of force people back a way that they didn't figure they were going. Again, for roller coasters, it's particularly cool if you're trying to go for a cool theme, because, yeah, again, look like this, like, oh, suddenly I'm going around like that, and we're going back this way. And, yeah, I find that's a rather useful little tip, that it took me a while to work out how to do that in survival, and in case you're the same, then there's something that can help you. So the next one here is actually to do with the pacing of the whole thing, so we're going to go flying all of a sudden. It's still the pacing of a roller coaster and kind of putting your builds in there. Because again, so you're seeing right here, I'm going past so much stuff, but there's a couple of mistakes. Oh, geez, I'm going so fast right now. I literally can't control this in any way. Like I've been going backwards the whole time. Okay, so yeah, that's the speed you get with powered rails. You can't stop it with all that gap. But yeah, like I was saying, so let's go back to the start of that so I can actually show you. That was a really bad roller coaster experience because you didn't get to see the stuff I was trying to show you. I was trying to show you my animals. I really love these, by the way. I made a whole video on them. I was trying to show you the animals one by one, but you're going past them so fast and it didn't really work. So even if we fix that speed part thing, so it's like, okay, let's just go at normal kind of minecart pace like this. Let's not tap the skip. There's like, oh yeah, so there's a unicorn, I guess, and there's a penguin and a lion. But when you're this close to something, you really can't see it too well. So a little tip I'd recommend is to kind of control the minecart so you make people look at something. So, oh, I'm looking at the village now. I'm looking at the zombies, and there we go. It's a panda, and it's a cool way to just make something appear from nowhere when it's always been there, and really kind of show it to someone rather than just be like, oh yeah, there's an elephant here. Look how close that is. And yeah, I totally recommend try and make sure the minecart goes to the recommended viewing angle for something. Oh look, there's the bee. Because if you don't make it show it something on the right way, then really you're not doing anything at all. You're just being like, oh yeah, there's cool stuff around here, but you can't see it because you're going too fast, or you're too close to it. Which again, awful roller coaster, bad experience. No one wants that. So yeah, pro tip right here. Like I said, I really like it when you do stuff like this where you kind of jut out into something. You can do it even more stealthily than like even showing something in the first place. So like if there was a wall there, for instance. Again, you can use optics to do a whole bunch of tricks, which brings me into my fourth tip here, which is actually to do with the whole like little doing tricks thing, because I think having some form of trickery or something like that is the coolest way to make a roller coaster feel amazing. So here's using a perspective trick very quickly. So let's go through there again. Here's a perspective trick where it's like, oh, you go through here so fast it feels like an optical illusion. It's not the most amazing one, but doesn't this look kind of cool? Doing stuff like that where you go into something and then suddenly there's a cool trick, I really like it personally. Like, oh yeah, look, this is what bees look like on the inside. But you can also do stuff where like, oh, suddenly you go underwater through your minecart, because you can actually swim. Oh, I'm trapped in the wall somewhere. You can actually like swim through water in a minecart. Water doesn't just break it, so you can do stuff where you go through an entire underwater section and you're just floating through the water. Again, there's a bunch of cool ideas like that you can kind of pull off. Like, look at that again. Like, just suddenly. Well, okay. There we go. Minecarts fall very fast, but it's still very cool to feel like you're going through water. Again, another little optical illusion. Basically, trying to do stuff that just feels like it's not normal is one of the best ways to make your roller coaster stand out. Because if it's just a roller coaster showing off builds, then that's kind of cool. If it go up and down the builds, I guess that's more exciting. But if you go through stuff that feels a bit unrealistic, that's where the truly great roller coasters are made. And I've seen some really cool stuff done, like, again, perspective tricks and this and that. And if you just make sure you use some of those, you'll have a lot more fun with your roller coaster. So the final tip here is actually to do with lighting, because lighting in a roller coaster is something that seems like it's just an easy thing of like, oh yeah, just make sure there's glowstone attached. But you can actually do a really cool thing because of detector rails, so these things right here, that makes it way more interesting. So bear in mind that right here, there's actually a lot of light in there, so it's not quite so spooky. But let's say you've got a place to be entirely pitch black, and you roll your minecart in there. Then the really cool thing you can actually end up doing is oh, this is the wrong way. I need to. Oh geez, that's awful. Let's try that again then, shall we? But yeah, the really cool thing you can do is you can kind of use your minecart to activate detector rails to make kind of variable lighting. So here's me going through here, and as you can see, every time I hit a light, it's going to slowly light the place up a little bit more. And if you make the light something cooler, you can do that too. I've seen this combined with like pistons and sand and like half stabs to make some really, really interesting things. Again, look out there at the way other roller coasters are lit, because you can add something to your thing with lighting. It's not just like a regular build where you make sure it's lit up. It's something where you make sure it's lit up when you're there, or that it lights up to reveal something to you. So yeah, there's 5 things you need to consider, or 5 tips for your next roller coaster. The first one is to know that you go crazy fast. Again, do you see how fast that out of control minecart was going just there? Make sure you keep that in mind. The second tip is to use jumps and to use falls to your advantage to make a roller coaster feel way more fun. The third tip is to make sure that you actually go the right distance from something, and that you lead people into looking at what you want them to see. Because yeah, if you spend a lot of time building a panda or an elephant or a bee, you want to make sure people actually see it and don't just skim past it before they really even properly appreciate it. The fourth one is to use perspective tricks, or like any form of trick to make people, again, to add that whole new layer to it where people are like, how did you even do that? Like a magic trick. Again, I only showed you a couple of them because there's so many out there, but again, you can look into those if you want to build the coolest roller coaster node. And the fifth one is to use lighting to your advantage to do something cool. So, yeah, also, by the way, this is one of my favorite little things. I didn't even properly show it off. But in the End Dragon head, there's like a heart that you go past that powers the rail you're going on. So it's like, ooh, it's a rail. But because you're going so fast past it, you can't probably see that. And one final little tip here, just as we get to the end, like a tip relating to the end of the video, here's a really cool thing that you might not realize to do with minecarts. Because if you want to have, so let's break this and get that back, shall we? If you want to have a dead end to a minecart system, or you just want to have like a point where it can't go further, using fence posts or using cobblestone walls is a really cool way to stop the minecart, because obviously there's like a half block there, and even though it doesn't look like there's anything, it stops the minecart dead in its track, which again might be useful for your roller coaster or your minecart track or whatever else you are building. So yeah, hopefully you did all enjoy this video. Hope you got something from it, whether it was any of those 5 tips or whether you just like the panda bear or whatever. If you did like it, let me know, because it helps out the channel, and it's now you do like these sorts of videos. Share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.